Hey there, English learners. I'm Jenny, and welcome to AI One English podcast practice, where we learn English through interesting topics. Today, we're talking about something that affects almost all of us, our relationship with our phones and how it impacts our ability to focus. So let's hop in and get started with a simple but powerful tip. Your time is valuable. So I want to share a quick win if you want to gain control over your focus. Here's a simple tip that will dramatically help. Take your cell phone and just turn it off, even if it's for just 5 minutes a day. The problem so many of us have is that with our cell phones right in front of us all the time, our attention is constantly at the mercy of anybody who wants to send a tweet, a text message, an email, or a notification from social media. If someone sends you a notification, you immediately get distracted. Every single time that happens, it jerks our focus away from something important we were doing. Now, if turning your phone off seems too extreme or too painful, at least put on the Do Not Disturb setting. You can always make exceptions for important contacts. If it's the hospital calling or your spouse and it's an emergency, you can set your phone to allow their calls to come through. But everyone else, you're blocking them out. You need to carve out some time each day where your cell phone is completely off. This is critically important for your mental well-being and productivity. We don't have to immediately aim for 4 hours a day of phone-free time, but if you start with just 5 minutes a day with your phone completely off, you'll begin to regain control over your own focus. When you disconnect from your phone regularly, you'll notice your attention span improving. I've tried this myself, and it's amazing how much clearer my thinking becomes when I'm not constantly checking notifications. If you make this a daily habit, you'll see significant improvements in your productivity. Now, let's take a moment to look at some useful vocabulary from today's podcast. First, I used the phrase hop in. When I said let's hop in, I meant let's start quickly. This phrasal verb means to begin something without delay. For example, the meeting is about to start. Let's hop in and get good seats. Or, when you see an opportunity, sometimes you just need to hop in and take it. Next, I mentioned being at the mercy of notifications. This idiom means being completely under the control or power of something else, without the ability to resist. For example, during the storm, the small boat was at the mercy of the waves, or without an umbrella, I was at the mercy of the rain. I also use the phrasal verb jerk away, which means to pull or move suddenly and quickly in a different direction. In our context, notifications jerk our attention away from important tasks. Here are more examples. He jerked away when he touched the hot stove. Or the loud noise jerked everyone's attention away from the speaker. Another useful phrasal verb I used was carve out, which means to create or find time for something through deliberate effort. For example, despite her busy schedule, she carves out an hour each day for exercise. Or, it's important to carve out quality time with your family. Finally, I used the adverb critically to emphasize extreme importance. This word indicates something is absolutely essential or crucial. For example, getting enough sleep is critically important for your health. Or, these documents are critically important for the meeting tomorrow. Now, let's talk about an interesting grammar point from our podcast, conditional sentences. These are if-then structures that show cause and effect relationships. I used 2 types of conditionals today. First, the zero conditional, which describes general truths or things that happen automatically. The structure is if plus present simple, present simple. For example, I said, if someone sends you a notification, you immediately get distracted. This describes what generally happens in this situation. I also used the first conditional, which describes real possibilities in the future. The structure is, if plus present simple, will plus verb. For example, if you start with just 5 minutes a day with your phone completely off, you'll begin to regain control over your focus. This describes a likely result if you take this action. Another example I used was, if you make this a daily habit, you'll see significant improvements in your productivity. This shows the probable future outcome of forming this habit. The first conditional is really useful for giving advice or talking about likely consequences of actions. You can use it in many situations, like, if you practice English every day, you'll improve quickly. Or, if we leave now, we'll arrive on time. So, to wrap up today's podcast, why not try turning off your phone for just 5 minutes today? Notice how it feels to be disconnected, even briefly. And as you practice this digital mindfulness, also try using some of our vocabulary words and conditional sentences in your English conversations. Thanks for joining me today on AI1 English Podcast Practice. I'm Jenny, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Keep practicing, and remember, if you disconnect from your phone, you'll connect better with everything else.